The accountant slid the tax folder across my desk, his finger pointing to a highlighted line item. $45,000 for office equipment, William. What exactly did you buy? When I saw the jewelry store receipts stapled behind the invoice, my blood turned to ice water in my veins. I said nothing, but my hand moved to my phone, and with 3 taps, I changed every password to every account Kimberly had access to. She would find out in exactly 4 hours when she tried to log in from her vacation in Las Vegas. The vacation I was apparently paying for as a corporate retreat. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to that morning, when everything still seemed perfect. "Dad, you look tired," Kimberly said, setting down her coffee cup on my kitchen table. The morning sun streamed through the windows of my Orlando home, casting warm light across her face. She looked so much like her mother, Sarah, especially when she smiled that genuine smile I thought I knew so well. "Just been working too hard on the Morrison project," I replied, buttering my toast. 27 units, all custom work. "But the margins are good. That's why you need me handling the books?" She laughed, reaching across to squeeze my hand. "Let me worry about the numbers, Dad. You just focus on building beautiful homes." I looked at my 34-year-old daughter, my only child, and felt that familiar warmth in my chest. After Sarah died 3 years ago, Kimberly had stepped up to help with everything. She'd moved back from Miami, taken the financial manager position at $65,000 a year, and I'd been so grateful. "I was thinking," I said, "maybe it's time to expand. We could get that second crew we talked about. I could cover the startup costs, maybe help you and David with a down payment on a bigger house too." Her eyes lit up. "Really? Dad, that would be incredible. David's been looking at this place in Winter Park. For bedrooms, pool, the works. It's $380,000, but with your help. Consider it done," I said, reaching for my checkbook. "Family takes care of family, right?" "Right," she said softly. "Family first, always." We spent the next hour planning. The new crew, the expansion, her future. She showed me pictures of the Winter Park house on her phone, talked about the neighborhood, the schools for future grandchildren. Everything felt so right, so warm, so perfectly normal. "I should get going," she finally said, glancing at her watch. "David and I are flying out to Vegas tomorrow for that construction expo. 3 days of learning about new building techniques." "Sounds productive," I said, walking her to the door. "Learn something good." She hugged me tight. "Love you, Dad. Thanks for everything." "Love you too, sweetheart." I watched her drive away in the Lexus SUV I was making payments on, $580 a month. A small price for my daughter's safety and comfort, I'd always thought. 3 hours later, my accountant called. "William, can you come in? There are some discrepancies in the quarterly reports I need to discuss with you." Leonard Morrison had been doing my books for 8 years. Methodical, careful, the kind of man who caught every penny. When I walked into his office at 2:30 that afternoon, he had 3 manila folders spread across his desk. "Sit down," he said, and something in his voice made my stomach clench. "What's wrong?" He opened the first folder. "Let's start with office equipment. $45,000 over the past 6 months. Can you tell me what you purchased?" I leaned forward, scanning the invoices. "I don't recall buying anything major. Some computers, maybe a new printer." Leonard flipped the page. Behind the invoice was a series of receipts. Cartier, Tiffany & Company. A tennis bracelet for $14,000. Diamond earrings for $8,000. A Rolex for $12,000. The room went very quiet. "And here," Leonard continued, his voice gentle but firm, $23,000 in corporate travel expenses to Las Vegas. For trips in 2 years, all charged to the company. But William, these weren't business trips. Look at the hotel charges. Spa treatments. Show tickets. Room service charges for champagne at $200 a bottle." My hands had gone numb. I stared at the receipts, seeing David's name on some of them, Kimberly's on others. Leonard opened the third folder. Consulting fees. $18,000 paid to Morrison Strategic Solutions. I called the address listed. It's David's apartment complex. The company doesn't exist, William. I checked with the state. No business license, no tax filings, nothing. I sat back in my chair, feeling something vast and cold settling in my chest. How much total? I asked quietly. $127,000 over the past 2 years. I thought about Kimberly hugging me that morning. Family first, always. I thought about the house she wanted me to help her buy. The expansion plans we'd discussed. The trust I'd given her, complete and absolute. What are my options? I asked. Leonard's expression was grave. Legally? This is embezzlement, William. Fraud. You could file criminal charges, recover some of the money through the courts. Or, he paused, or you handle it privately. Family matter. I was quiet for a long time, staring at those receipts. Jewelry I'd never seen her wear. Vacations she'd lied about. A fake company stealing my money. I need copies of everything, I said finally. Already made them. 3 sets. I stood up, gathering the folders. Thank you, Leonard. Send me your bill. William, I'm sorry. I nodded and walked to the door. As I reached for the handle, I turned back. One more thing. I need you to help me set up a new business account. Different bank. Tonight, if possible. He understood immediately. Of course. I drove home slowly, thinking about Sarah. She died of cancer at 57, fighting for every day, every moment with the people she loved. In the last weeks, when the pain was bad, she'd made me promise to take care of Kimberly, to be the parent she couldn't be anymore. She's still young, Sarah had whispered from her hospital bed. She makes mistakes, but she has a good heart. Promise me you'll always be there for her. I promised. I'd meant it. But as I sat in my driveway, looking at those receipts, I remembered something else Sarah had said years earlier, when Kimberly was in college and had gotten caught cheating on an exam. Love doesn't mean letting people walk all over you, William. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let them face the consequences of their choices. I walked into my house and spread the documents across my dining room table. The same table where we'd had breakfast that morning, where she talked about expanding the business, where she'd asked me to help buy a house with money she'd already stolen from me. I looked at the Cartier receipt again. $14,000 for a tennis bracelet. I'd been driving a 10-year-old Ford pickup truck because I believed in living modestly, reinvesting in the business. While my daughter was buying jewelry that cost more than most people's cars. The Las Vegas receipts were worse. $2,000 a night for premium suites. $300 dinners. $500 spa treatments. All while I worked 60-hour weeks. All while she told me the business was tight, and we needed to watch expenses. I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. Jim? It's William Johnson. I need to see you first thing tomorrow morning. It's about my daughter. Jim Patterson had handled my business legal work for 12 years. A straight shooter who didn't sugarcoat anything. When I laid the evidence in front of him the next morning, he whistled low. Jesus, William. This is bad. Tell me my options. All of them. Jim leaned back in his leather chair. Criminal charges would be the strongest route. Embezzlement, fraud, theft from employer. With this much evidence, she'd likely get 2 to 5 years. Full restitution ordered by the court. And if I don't want to destroy her life? Civil action. Sue for damages, get a judgment, garnish wages, asset seizure if necessary. Less jail time, but you might actually recover more money. And if I handle it privately? Jim frowned. Risky. No legal protection if she does it again. But, he paused, studying the documents. You're the majority owner of the company. You have every right to terminate her employment, change access codes, stop any company benefits you've been providing. Like her housing allowance? That's a company expense? $2,200 a month. Jim shook his head. Yeah, you can cut that off immediately. Same with the car payment if the company's been covering it. I thought about it. What if I gave her a choice? Pay it back or face charges? Perfectly legal. Might even be more effective than court. Quicker, anyway. I stood up. Draft me a termination letter. Effective immediately. and prepare a formal demand for restitution. I want her to understand this isn't a negotiation. William, Jim said quietly, are you sure? This is your daughter. I looked at him for a long moment. Jim, if your daughter stole $127,000 from you, what would you do? He didn't answer. I spent the rest of the day methodically dismantling the access Kimberly had built up over 2 years. Every password changed. Every automatic payment stopped. Every company credit card canceled. At 4:30 in the afternoon, she called. Dad, something's wrong with the computer system. I can't get into any of the accounts. Where are you? I asked. Vegas. At the expo. But I was trying to pay some invoices and… The expo, I said quietly. Right? Dad? You sound weird. What's going on? We'll talk when you get back. Enjoy your learning experience. She called again at 6, at 8, 10. Each time I let it go to voicemail. Her voice got progressively more panicked. By Thursday morning, she was flying home. By Thursday afternoon, she was sitting in my office, David beside her, both of them looking confused and worried. Dad, what the hell is going on? They cut off my credit card. The bank says my access has been revoked. And Mrs. Henderson called. She says you stopped paying my rent. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the 3 folders. Set them on the desk between us. $45,000 in jewelry, I said calmly. $23,000 in Las Vegas vacations. $18,000 to a company that doesn't exist. Anything you want to tell me about that? Sweetheart, the color drained from her face. David started to speak, but she held up a hand to stop him. Dad, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But first, let me explain something to you. I opened the first folder, turned it around so she could see the receipts. This bracelet, $14,000. I've never seen you wear it. I was saving it for special occasions. These earrings, $8,000. When did you buy them? Her voice got smaller. Last Christmas. While I was working Christmas Day on the Murphy house because we were behind schedule and couldn't afford to miss the deadline. She looked down at her hands. These Vegas trips, I continued, opening the second folder. Corporate retreats, you called them. Learning about new techniques. But here's a receipt for a couple's massage. $250. Here's another one for a magic show. $180. David finally found his voice. Mr. Johnson, we can pay you back. With what money, David? The $18,000 you stole through your fake consulting company. His face went red. That wasn't… You were going to what? Keep stealing from me until I died. Kimberly looked up, tears in her eyes. Dad, please. We never meant for it to get this bad. We saw how successful the business was and we thought. You thought you deserved a piece of it. Without working for it. Without earning it. We did work for it. I manage all the finances. I handle the books. You handle the books. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yes, you certainly did handle the books. I pulled out a sheet of paper from my jacket pocket. Jim Patterson's letterhead. Kimberly Johnson, you are hereby terminated from Johnson Construction, effective immediately, for gross misconduct and fiduciary breach. Your final paycheck, minus deductions for theft, is $0. She stared at the letter. You can't do this. I can. I have. Your key card is disabled. Your computer access is revoked. Your company credit card is canceled. The lease on your apartment is in the company name. You have 30 days to find new housing. Dad, please. I held up my hand. I'm not finished. I pulled out the second document. This is a formal demand for restitution. $127,000. You have 60 days to make arrangements for repayment, or I file criminal charges for embezzlement and fraud. David stood up. You can't do this to your own daughter. I looked at him calmly. I'm not doing anything to her. I'm responding to what she did to me. Kimberly was crying now. Dad, I don't have that kind of money. Even if I sold everything. Then you should have thought of that before you stole it. We'll go to the police, David said. Tell them you're trying to extort us. I opened the third folder, pulled out copies of all the receipts. Please do. I'm sure they'll be very interested in these documents. Especially the fake company invoices with your signature on them. David. The room went very quiet. You have 60 days, I said again. Figure it out. They left without another word. I sat alone in my office for a long time, looking at those receipts, thinking about Sarah, about the promises I'd made her, about the daughter I thought I knew. My phone rang. Kimberly. Dad, please, can we talk about this? There has to be another way. There is another way, I said. You pay me back every penny with interest, or you go to prison. I can't get that much money in 60 days. Then you shouldn't have spent it. She hung up. Over the next 2 weeks, she called every day. Sometimes crying, sometimes angry, sometimes with David yelling in the background. I didn't answer most of the calls. The ones I did answer, I kept short. 45 days left. 38 days left. 29 days left. On day 35, she called with a different tone. I talked to a lawyer, she said. He says I can sue you for wrongful termination. Did you tell him about the $127,000 you embezzled? Long pause. He says it's a family matter, that you can't just destroy my life over money. I'm not destroying your life, Kimberly. I'm letting you experience the natural consequences of your choices. 25 days left. On day 20, she called crying. Dad, I'm selling the house, and my car, and all the jewelry, but it's not enough. I can only get about $60,000 for everything. That's a start. But I don't have anywhere to live, and no way to get to work. I hear there are apartments for rent, and used cars are very affordable. How can you be so cold? I thought about that question for a long time after she hung up. How could I be so cold? Because she'd made it easy. Every lie, every false report, every fake receipt had crystallized something in me. Not anger. Anger burns hot and burns out. This was something much more permanent. On day 15, David called. Mr. Johnson, please. Kimberly's a mess. She's not eating, barely sleeping. Can't we work something out? A payment plan? She had 2 years to work something out. She chose to keep stealing instead. She made a mistake. She made hundreds of mistakes. One for every transaction, every receipt, every lie she told me. Mistakes are accidental, David. This was deliberate. On day 10, Kimberly showed up at my house. She looked terrible, thin, hollow-eyed, defeated. I have $73,000, she said. It's everything, Dad. Every single thing I own. The house sold for less than I hoped. The car was upside down on the loan. But it's what I have. I looked at her, standing on my doorstep like a stranger. It's not enough. It's all I have. Then find the rest. How? I don't have a job. No one will hire me without references, and you own half the construction companies in Orlando. There are other industries. She stared at me. You really want me to suffer, don't you? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. That trust, once broken, doesn't just magically repair itself. That the people who love you shouldn't have to pay for your selfishness. I never meant to hurt you, but you did hurt me. For 2 years. Every single day. On day 5, she called with the rest of the money. My parents loaned it to me, she said quietly. I paused. What parents? David's parents. They mortgaged their house. I felt something twist in my stomach. David's parents were good people. Retired. Living on fixed incomes. They shouldn't have done that. They did it because they love David. Because they understand that families help each other. The accusation hung in the air. Bring me the check, I said. She came that evening, check in hand. $127,000. Exactly. As she handed it to me, she looked me in the eye for the first time in weeks. I hope you're happy, she said. I'm not happy, Kimberly. I'm just balanced. I'll never forgive you for this. I nodded. I know. And I'll never trust you again. Good, I said. Maybe that will help you remember how it feels. She left without saying goodbye. 6 months later, I was having lunch at a diner near the job site when she walked in. She was wearing a waitress uniform, hair pulled back, no jewelry except a simple wedding ring. She saw me and hesitated, then walked over to my table. "Hi, Dad." "Hello." She stood there for a moment, uncertain. "I'm working here now. David's got a job at a warehouse. We're renting a 1-bedroom apartment near the airport." I nodded. "We're making it work," she said, a little defensive. "Honest work. That's good." David's parents, they lost their house. Had to move in with his sister. The twist in my stomach got tighter. "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you? Really?" I looked at her, my daughter, my only child, the person I'd loved more than anything in the world except her mother. "Yes," I said. "I am." But that was David's choice to ask them and their choice to say yes. Not mine. She was quiet for a moment. Then, "The business doing well?" "Very well. Leonard's handling the books now. Full transparency, daily reports. Amazing how much money you save when you're not supporting fake consulting companies and jewelry habits." A flash of anger crossed her face, but it faded quickly. "I should get back to work," she said. "Kimberly." She turned. "For what it's worth, I hope you and David are happy." She studied my face for a long moment. "I think we might be, actually, weird as that sounds." After she left, I sat there thinking about Sarah again, about promises and consequences and the difference between love and enabling. I thought she'd be proud of me, not happy. She'd have hated seeing Kimberly struggle, but proud. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices. Today, 2 years later, my business has expanded to 3 crews and 22 employees. Leonard handles every penny, with backup oversight from an independent auditing firm. I've never seen cleaner books. I drive by that diner sometimes. Kimberly's not there anymore. I heard she and David saved enough to move to a better apartment, that she's taking night classes to become a real bookkeeper. The legitimate kind. We don't speak. Maybe we never will again. But every morning, when I look at my bank statements, when I review the clean, honest numbers Leonard prepares, when I see my business thriving without the hemorrhaging of money I didn't even know was happening, I feel something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not happiness. I lost my daughter to get it, and that's a price that still hurts. But peace. The deep, settled peace of knowing that people earn what they get, that trust has value, and that sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones you need to watch the most carefully. If you liked this story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions in the comments below.